In a world where words seem to lose their value and noise and superficiality are everywhere, we ask ourselves, can we demonstrate our worth without saying a single word? Is it possible to know the value and intentions of the people around us without relying solely on what they say? According to the ancient philosophy of Stoicism, the answer is a clear yes. Stoics believed that courage was one of the most important qualities a person could have, and that this courage could be demonstrated through actions rather than words. Today, we invite you to embark on a journey of personal transformation. During this journey, you will discover how to recognize your true worth and become a positive example for yourself and the world around you. I invite you to stay until the end of the video, where you will find valuable lessons to strengthen your plans and face any adversity. If this is your first time on my channel, please help me by subscribing and liking the video. This way, I can continue to create more content like this in the future. In this video, we will discover how to immerse yourself in something real and authentic, understanding your value through a perspective that has stood the test of time. Stoicism. Yes, you heard right, Stoicism. This ancient philosophy is not just about being insensitive or enduring pain, but rather understanding what truly matters in life, especially in our relationships with others. Let's begin with dignity. Before you start imagining a Stoic as an austere, unsmiling figure from antiquity, let me clarify. Stoicism is not about repressing your emotions or being indifferent. Rather, it's about understanding where your energy deserves to be invested. So let's talk about what it means to present yourself with dignity in relationships. Sometimes, we try so hard to impress someone that we end up losing ourselves in the process, dressing a certain way, speaking a certain way, all to gain that approval. Imagine this. You are in a bar and see two people on a date. One is flashy, trying to impress, while the other is comfortable in their own skin. Which do you think will leave a lasting impression? The genuine one. This is the power of presenting yourself with dignity. Stoics strive to live with integrity, and the way you treat yourself sets the standard for how others will treat you. What you are saying to the world is that it's acceptable to be treated the same way. But if you respect yourself, value your time, your energy, and your emotions, you are sending a clear and strong message. I am worthy of respect, and I expect to be treated as such. In the context of relationships, it's not just about how you see yourself or what you say, but how you react and behave in different situations. Are you reacting with desperation or dignity? Are you compromising your values just to fit in? Or are you holding your ground, even if it means being alone? This doesn't mean you have to be perfect. We are all human. We make mistakes and have our embarrassing moments. But it's about how you handle those moments. Do you buckle under pressure, or do you hold your head high and learn from it? Let's reflect on how we can start presenting ourselves with more dignity in our daily actions. Perhaps one way is to establish clear and healthy boundaries in our relationships, communicating decisively but respectfully what we are willing to accept and what we are not. This protects our emotional integrity and sets a standard of mutual respect. Another way to present yourself with dignity is to learn to say no to things that do not align with our values and priorities. This might involve refusing commitments or situations that make us uncomfortable or go against our principles. By doing so, we reaffirm our right to live authentically and according to our values. By following our convictions and remaining true to ourselves, we can treat others with more kindness and respect in daily interactions. Recognizing the humanity in every person we meet and showing empathy for their experiences and feelings helps us build more authentic and meaningful relationships. When we begin to recognize and value our dignity, we project a confidence and self-esteem that others perceive. This influences how others see and treat us, creating a positive cycle of mutual respect and appreciation. Recognize your worth. I know what you're thinking. Not another discussion on self-esteem. But bear with me, because we won't be talking about looking in the mirror and repeating how amazing you are. So, what does Stoicism have to do with knowing your worth in relationships? A lot. Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control, and your self-esteem is completely under your control. It's not about how many likes you get on Instagram or if someone sends you a friend request on other platforms, but rather about how you perceive and value yourself. Think of it differently. Imagine you are a precious gem. Not everyone recognizes the value of a rare gem. Some may ignore it without realizing what it is, but this doesn't change the value of the gem. It remains precious, rare, and unique. This is your true reflection. You are genuine, unique, and precious. Your value doesn't diminish just because someone doesn't see it. Now, let's be realistic. We all face rejection at some point and feel we're not good enough, especially in our hyper-connected world. But here is where Stoicism comes in to remind you that your value is not tied to someone else's approval, but rather to how you live your life, your virtues, and your actions. Are you kind? Are you honest? Do you live in a way you are proud of? This is your true value. Stoics focused not just on superficial things, but on deeper values. What makes you feel good? Being compassionate, resilient, or a great listener. These qualities make up your value. Here's the secret. When you truly know your value, it changes how you interact in relationships. You won't tolerate nonsense, not because you're arrogant, but because you respect yourself too much to do so. Here's a small Stoic exercise. The next time you feel neglected, instead of falling into a spiral of self-pity, ask yourself what your strengths and values are. It's not about becoming arrogant, but silently recognizing that you are worthy of valid external approval. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic emperors, said you have power over your mind, not external events. Understand this, and you will find strength. In relationships, recognizing and valuing your own worth is fundamental. It's important to understand that our value is not determined solely by others' perceptions, but lies in our own perception of ourselves. It's a daily practice that invites us to cultivate our self-esteem and internal confidence every day. Every morning, we have the opportunity to affirm our value, regardless of others' opinions. Let's remember that we are precious and worthy of love and respect, not because someone else says so, but because we believe it deep within. This journey towards self-acceptance leads us to recognize that our value lies in our essence and authenticity. Every step in this path of self-discovery brings us closer to understanding our true importance. It's a slow and continuous process of personal growth, where we learn to recognize and appreciate our strengths, virtues, and unique qualities. During this inner journey, we discover that our value does not depend on others' approval, but on our perception of ourselves. Understanding that we can cultivate and strengthen our value over time allows us to take control of our lives and relationships. This frees us from the need for external validation and allows us to live with self-esteem and confidence. Finding strength in our value, whether others recognize it or not, reminds us that we are worthy of love and respect simply for who we are. Don't tell me, show me. This principle applies perfectly when talking about setting limits. It's one thing to tell someone what your limits are, but another to truly demonstrate them through your actions. Think about it. Anyone can say they won't tolerate being treated badly, but the real test comes when you actually face that situation. Do you maintain your limits, or let them be crossed? Here lies your true power, not in saying, but in doing. It's not easy, especially when emotions are involved. But remember what the Stoics taught us. Everything is under our control, including how we react to situations. If someone crosses a line, it's your reaction that defines your limits, not your words. For example, if you've made it clear that you value honesty and someone lies to you, how you handle that situation says a lot. Staying calm and addressing the issue directly and calmly shows that you take your limits seriously without creating drama, but by respecting yourself. This approach can make a difference in relationships. When people see that you don't allow your limits to be crossed, they understand what you accept and what you don't. It's about cultivating a sense of self-esteem and sticking to it. This is where it becomes truly stoic. It's not just about the big things, but also the small daily limits. It's how you react when someone cancels plans at the last minute or takes you for granted. You communicate through actions and quiet words that this is not okay. The practice of mindfulness is more than just being present in the moment. It's about deeply immersing yourself in the here and now, observing every thought, emotion, and action that arises within you. This journey of self-awareness invites us to question and reflect on how our actions reflect our personal limits and fundamental values. Being fully aware of the present moment gives us the opportunity to evaluate whether our actions are in line with our limits and our authenticity. It's a process of constant self-evaluation. We ask ourselves if we are acting according to our deepest principles and values, or if we are straying from ourselves due to external pressures or social expectations. This practice leads us to closely examine every interaction and situation, seeking to understand how we are responding and if we are remaining true to ourselves. It invites us to recognize when we feel uncomfortable or compromised, and to act to protect our integrity. And emotional well-being, in the small moments of daily life, lies the true test of our limits. It's in these seemingly insignificant situations that our true nature and the strength of our character are revealed. The practice of mindfulness challenges us to be present in every moment, to be aware of how we react to various circumstances of life, and to cultivate greater clarity and discernment in our actions and decisions. As we progress in our daily lives and interact with others, we can adopt a more stoic perspective in how we show and establish our personal limits. It's not just about imposing rigid rules or being inflexible, but about cultivating that internal compass that guides us in how we act and react to different situations. This internal compass, inspired by Stoic principles, invites us to be aware of our limits and personal values and to act accordingly. It's not about shutting ourselves off from the outside world or building walls around us, but about establishing healthy limits that reflect who we are and what we value in life. When we start living this way, people around us notice. They see that we have clear limits and that we respect ourselves enough to enforce them. This sends a clear message. This is who I am. This is what I stand for, and I am not willing to compromise my principles. It may seem old-fashioned or rigid, but listen to me. It's not about being difficult, but about respecting and understanding your value. Stoicism teaches us the art of self-discipline and control, not rigidly, but knowing what is truly valuable and not wasting it. In a world of instant gratification, this is like a breath of fresh air. Think about relationships. Often there is a rush to share everything, our time, our space, our deepest thoughts. But the Stoics would advise taking a step back. Something that is easily available often loses its value. If you are always available, if you always say yes to everything, where is the mystery, the depth, the anticipation? Let's talk about how to limit access in a dignified and stoic way. It's about how you present yourself. Dress elegantly, but modestly. It's not just about fashion, it's about declaring that you value yourself. You're not hiding, but you're not showing too much either. In a world where we are constantly connected, being selective about who gets your time is powerful. It's not about playing games, but about saying, "My time is precious, and I choose to spend it wisely." If you're with someone, be fully present and engaged. But when you're not, feel good about not being available, because you're focused on your life, your passions, your growth. Stoicism teaches emotional control, not becoming cold or distant, but not letting anything affect you too deeply. Maintain inner calm. Don't give your emotional energy to just anyone. I'm not saying to become a statue. We are human, and connection makes life rich. But there is beauty in taking things slowly, in building a connection that has depth and lasts over time. Limiting access is not about playing with others' feelings, but about respecting yourself and your values. It means demonstrating, through concrete actions, that you value yourself and deserve to be valued by others. Being selective in our interactions, careful in decisions, and moderate in expressions protects our emotional integrity and self-esteem. Following Stoic principles, we establish clear limits that reflect our dignity. This approach changes how we are perceived and treated by others. Living according to our limits and values makes us a beacon of integrity in an often uncertain world. Stoicism is about practical wisdom, judging people by their actions, not their sweet words. We live in a world full of sweet words and empty promises, especially in relationships. Stoics teach us to look beyond words and observe actions because actions reveal the truth. It's easy to say the right things or what others want to hear, to make promises and paint a perfect future. But it's actions that support the words. Here is the real story. Be realistic. We've all been there, meeting someone who tells us pleasant and surprising things, and we get carried away. But over time, actions don't match the words. They say they'll call and they don't. They make plans and cancel them at the last minute. Yet, their words keep us hooked. This is where our inner Stoic must intervene. Stoicism teaches us not to get caught up in words or be dominated by emotions. It's about being rational and seeing things as they are. If someone's actions don't match their words, that's a red flag. It's like the universe saying, "Hey, pay attention, something's wrong." This change in perspective transforms our relationships. Instead of getting lost in words and promises, we start paying attention to the subtle details, how they react in stressful moments, if they keep their word, if they are there for us not just with words but with actions. When we focus on actions, we set a standard and send a clear message. I'm not just listening to what you say, I'm watching what you do. People around us understand that they can't just say sweet words to earn a place in our lives. They have to demonstrate their value and true intentions through concrete and consistent actions. This change in perspective gives us the power to discern with greater clarity and wisdom in our relationships, helping us build more authentic and meaningful bonds based on mutual trust and respect. Ultimately, it leads us to cultivate healthier and more satisfying relationships, where the consistency between words and actions is fundamental. Adopting a Stoic attitude in love means being rational, observant, and wise in our personal interactions, recognizing that concrete actions reveal feelings and intentions much more than words. Stoicism has a beautiful concept of detachment, not in a cold or insensitive way, but in understanding what we can and cannot control. One of the most powerful things we can control is our decision to stay in or leave a situation that isn't right for us. This applies to relationships too. We've all been in a situation where everything in us says it's not what we deserve, but we stay anyway. Maybe out of fear of loneliness, fear of change, or hoping things will improve. But the crucial point of Stoicism is that true power lies in recognizing that staying in a situation that compromises our values is within our control, and we can choose differently. This doesn't mean that at the first sign of trouble, we should abandon everything. Relationships require work, commitment, and patience. It's about knowing your value so deeply that when something goes against it, you're ready to detach. It's about having the inner strength, this stoic fortress, to say, I value myself enough not to accept less than I deserve. Being ready to distance yourself is an act of self-affirmation and self-compassion. It means having clarity and inner strength to recognize when a situation or relationship is not aligned with our fundamental values and sense of dignity. This doesn't have to be a tumultuous or dramatic process. Many times it's a serene and conscious understanding that we deserve something better. It's true that facing the unknown can generate fear, but it's in these moments of challenge that we can recall the teachings of the Stoics. Embracing adversity with courage and accepting that life is in constant evolution. Recognizing the courage to let go of what no longer serves us is like opening space for new opportunities and experiences in your life. It's like clearing the path for personal growth and renewal. It's important to understand that we're not clinging to a situation out of necessity or fear, but making the conscious decision to honor our emotional well-being and happiness. Having the courage to leave what no longer nourishes you is a step towards a brighter and more satisfying future. It's saying yes to yourself and the possibilities that await you beyond the unknown. Therefore, as we reflect on the idea of being ready to distance ourselves, let's remember that this act of courage and authenticity allows us to open up to new opportunities and experiences in life. Remember that we deserve to live fully and have the power to create the life we desire. Being ready to distance yourself doesn't imply adopting a cold or distant attitude, but manifesting self-love and respect for ourselves. By recognizing and defending our limits and needs, we affirm our value and dignity. This allows us to build relationships that respect us and push us towards personal and emotional growth. In Stoicism, there is a strong emphasis on personal integrity and the courage to defend our principles. This directly applies to our ability to say no in relationships. It's about knowing what you believe in and not being afraid to maintain your standards. Consider the situation where you are in a relationship and your partner suggests something that doesn't feel right to you. It might be moving too fast or compromising your values in some way. The easiest choice would be to simply go along, but this is where your inner Stoic must intervene and say no. It's about respecting yourself and your values. I'm not saying it's easy. On the contrary, it can be incredibly difficult, especially when you like the person. There's always that voice in your head that says, what if this pushes them away? But this is where we need to be brave. Stoicism teaches us the courage, not just to face external challenges, but also internal ones. Saying no is not just about self-esteem, it's about showing that you value yourself enough not to accept less than you deserve. You might lose someone, but if saying no to something that goes against your values pushes a person away, then maybe they weren't right for you. This approach can really change the dynamics of a relationship. When someone sees that you're not afraid to say no, that you're not there just to please them at the expense of your values, their perspective changes. It shows them that you are someone who respects themselves, someone who values themselves. Refusing something that goes against our values is not just about setting limits with others, it's also about being honest with ourselves. It's about recognizing what you really want and not wanting to compromise. Don't let the fear of loneliness lead you to make decisions that aren't right for you. Expanding on this point, saying no is truly an act of authenticity and self-affirmation. It allows us to establish healthy boundaries and remain true to our fundamental values, demonstrating integrity. Just as the Stoics teach, it's important to remain firm in our convictions and act in accordance with our principles. When we say no, we are honoring our true needs and desires, instead of giving in to others' expectations or demands. It's a form of self-care and authenticity. By establishing clear boundaries and expressing our needs honestly, we promote healthier and more meaningful relationships, where everyone is valued and respected for who they truly are. So let's remember that it's okay to say no. It's an expression of self-love and an important step toward building authentic and satisfying relationships. Embracing our ability to say no when necessary puts us in a position of personal power and allows us to live with integrity and authenticity in all our interactions. Saying no can be liberating, an affirmation of one's autonomy and dignity, and a conscious refusal to compromise one's values for convenience or social acceptance. By exercising this power, we are actively shaping the course of our relationships, establishing clear boundaries and protecting our essence. It's a way to put ourselves first, recognizing that our emotional and moral well-being is as important as anything else. Furthermore, saying no in a respectful and firm way communicates clear expectations to others and promotes more authentic and transparent communication. This creates an environment of mutual trust and respect, where both parties feel free to express their needs and limits. Saying no when necessary not only strengthens our self-esteem, but also strengthens relationships by establishing a solid foundation of mutual understanding and respect. Skepticism and Stoicism go hand in hand. Stoics seek to see things as they really are, not as they are expected to be. In the world of love and relationships, this is very relevant. We've all heard someone say the words we want to hear and we want to believe them, ignoring the warning signs. Here's where our inner Stoic comes into play. Having a bit of skepticism is like having a superpower. It doesn't mean being negative or cynical, but keeping your feet on the ground and not taking everything at face value. It's about observing, questioning, and not diving in headfirst without thinking. Imagine this scenario. You meet someone and think they are fantastic. They say all these wonderful things and plan a future together, but it's only been a few weeks. Your Stoic side would say, take it slow, don't rush. Let's see if their actions match their words and how things develop. This skepticism is not about bombarding the other person with questions or doubting their every move, but about being aware, listening to what they say, and also observing what they do. It's about taking the time to really get to know someone and verifying if they are authentic. Stoics placed great value on using logic and reason, not just being driven by emotions. In relationships, this is crucial. It's true that finding the balance between emotions and logic can be challenging, but by cultivating a bit of skepticism, we can evaluate situations more objectively and clearly. Maintaining a certain degree of skepticism, we don't get swept away by the emotional current of the moment, but make decisions based on reality and our authentic needs. This allows us to discern between what is beneficial for us and what could pose a threat to our emotional well-being. Furthermore, skepticism gives us the opportunity to protect our hearts from possible disappointments or emotional harm by not rushing into situations without adequately evaluating the circumstances. Giving ourselves the necessary time to better understand the other person, their intentions, and their compatibility with our values is not about building barriers or walls around our hearts, but about opening doors with caution and discernment. Being a bit skeptical allows us to remain vigilant, and aware of our emotions while exploring new connections with a clear mind and a protected heart. Accepting imperfections is an essential part of Stoic philosophy. It invites us to tune in to the essence of life, to flow with the natural rhythms of the universe, and to accept reality with serenity. In the context of love, these lessons have profound relevance. By embracing a Stoic perspective, we recognize that both we and our loved ones are imperfect beings, subject to the vicissitudes of life and human limitations. Instead of seeking perfection in others or in ourselves, we embrace imperfections as part of the human experience, valuing authenticity over appearance, and finding beauty in vulnerability and sincerity. Accepting these imperfections with compassion and understanding creates space for mutual growth and genuine connection. The practice of acceptance offers us the opportunity to cultivate strong and meaningful relationships where genuine connection and mutual support are fundamental. Instead of struggling against reality or trying to mold others to our desires, we learn to adapt and flow with circumstances, finding a deep sense of peace and satisfaction in the present moment. Accepting and embracing both our imperfections and those of others allows us to be compassionate and understanding. Recognizing that everyone is doing their best with the tools and resources available, we feel empathy for others' experiences and struggles. This understanding strengthens the bonds of connection and trust, promoting an environment of mutual support. The practice of acceptance enables us to cultivate authentic and meaningful relationships, where love and connection flourish in an environment of mutual acceptance and respect. The principle of not chasing is deeply tied to everything we have discussed, especially from a Stoic point of view. In Stoicism, there is significant emphasis on focusing on what is within our control and letting go of what is not. This philosophy is extremely powerful when applied to interpersonal relationships. It is about understanding that chasing someone who is pulling away is not only futile, but also does not respect our value. Imagine this situation. You are dating someone, and everything seems to be going well. But then the distance starts to be felt. Instinctively, we want to chase the other person to fill this gap. However, the Stoics would say, wait, why chase something you cannot control? What happened to your dignity and clarity? Even though it can be difficult to walk away from what does not nurture us, it is an act of love and authenticity towards ourselves. The Stoic approach is to remain firm in your value. If someone is pulling away, let them go. It is not about being cold or insensitive, but about recognizing that we cannot control another person's feelings or actions. We can only control our response. It is not easy. It takes a lot of strength not to chase and not to give in to this impulse. But it is about trusting that if someone really wants to be with us, they will. When we stop chasing, we start focusing on ourselves and our lives, and amazing things happen. We attract people who are drawn to our strength and confidence. It is like sending a signal that says, I value myself. Practicing virtue in a romantic relationship means more than just being honest, loyal, compassionate, and respectful. It means committing to being the best version of ourselves in all aspects of shared life. Virtue invites us to be authentic in our interactions, showing who we truly are, with our strengths and areas for improvement. In this way, we create an environment of mutual trust where both can grow freely. Loyalty in a virtuous relationship is not just emotional and physical fidelity, but also being there for our partner in every circumstance, offering support in difficult moments. Compassion calls us to put ourselves in our partner's shoes, understanding their perspectives and showing empathy for their experiences and emotions. In a relationship based on mutual respect and virtue, we promote an environment of trust and support. This means recognizing our partner's value as an individual and promoting their personal and professional development. It means actively listening to their opinions and concerns, understanding their point of view, and collaborating in decisions that benefit both. Additionally, it involves expressing gratitude and appreciation for our partner's contributions and efforts, thus strengthening the emotional bond. In summary, practicing virtue in a romantic relationship means committing to living according to the highest moral and ethical principles, cultivating an environment of honesty, loyalty, compassion, and mutual respect, thus creating the foundation for an authentic and lasting connection. Allowing others to invest in you means recognizing your uniqueness and value. It is not just about your presence in someone else's life, but about becoming a significant and valuable part of their world. This recognition implies understanding that what is easily obtained tends to be less appreciated. True appreciation arises from commitment and dedication. When someone invests their time, emotions, and energy in your life, a stronger and more lasting bond is created. This process transforms your role from a mere curiosity to a genuinely appreciated presence. It is not about desperately seeking others' attention or love, but demonstrating that you are a valuable and enriching contribution to their life, worthy of genuine interest. Allowing others to invest in you means offering them the opportunity to transform your presence into an invaluable aspect of their lives, something they wouldn't want to lose. The words of the Stoic philosopher Seneca resonate with this idea. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Your value does not lie just in your being, but in being sought after and appreciated. Practicing virtue in a romantic relationship means committing to being the best version of yourself in all aspects of shared life. Virtue invites us to be authentic in our interactions, showing who we truly are, with our strengths and areas for improvement. In this way, we create an environment of mutual trust where both can grow freely. Loyalty in a virtuous relationship is not just emotional and physical fidelity, but also being there for our partner in every circumstance, offering support in difficult moments. Compassion calls us to put ourselves in our partner's shoes, understanding their perspectives and showing empathy for their experiences and emotions. In a relationship based on mutual respect and virtue, we promote an environment of trust and support. This means recognizing our partner's value as an individual and promoting their personal and professional development. It means actively listening to their opinions and concerns, understanding their point of view, and collaborating in decisions that benefit both. Additionally, it involves expressing gratitude and appreciation for our partner's contributions and efforts, thus strengthening the emotional bond. In summary, practicing virtue in a romantic relationship means committing to living according to the highest moral and ethical principles, cultivating an environment of honesty, loyalty, compassion, and mutual respect, thus creating the foundation for an authentic and lasting connection. During this video, we have explored various fundamental principles for building healthy and meaningful relationships. We have learned that unconditional love, inspired by Stoic philosophy, teaches us to let go of control over what we cannot change, cultivating inner peace and authenticity. By living according to our values, we strengthen not only our integrity, but also inspire our partner to do the same, promoting mutual growth and deeper understanding. Allowing others to invest in us, recognizing our uniqueness and value, creates bonds of trust and respect, enriching the shared journey. Practicing virtue in a romantic relationship goes beyond honesty and loyalty. involving a commitment to personal growth and mutual support, strengthening the foundations of a lasting connection. By adopting a Stoic approach, we learn to find balance, face challenges with calm, and cultivate an intrinsic connection with ourselves, thus creating authentic and meaningful relationships. These principles not only shape our interactions with others, but also allow us to be architects of our happiness and personal fulfillment. By applying them in our daily lives, we can transform not only our relationships, but also ourselves towards a fuller and more rewarding life. Always remember that true growth comes from the constant and diligent practice of these principles, creating a path to a more authentic and meaningful existence. Concluding our journey, I would like to express my gratitude for your company and dedication during this video. I sincerely hope that the reflections and ideas shared here have been enriching and inspiring for you, bringing true personal growth and a new perspective on relationships. Remember that relationships are a continuous journey of learning and evolution, where every experience, whether challenging or rewarding, contributes to our maturation and growth. If you've made it this far, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. This interaction will allow us to further strengthen our connection and renew our mutual commitment to personal and interpersonal growth. May you apply these valuable principles in your daily routine, nurturing authentic and meaningful relationships and living with fullness and purpose in every moment. Thank you again for your presence, and see you in the next video with Velegia.